Hi, everyone. Welcome to Caring Conversations. You're with Pastor Susan and Pastor Lillian, and we're so glad that you're joining us. Well, Susan, change is happening all over the place. I mean, even as we look out the window, the changing colors of the leaves is a witness to some of the change that we're seeing. But my goodness, doesn't it feel like there is an accelerated change?
Yes. Oh, Lillian, good morning and good morning, everyone, or whenever you're listening to this. But it absolutely does feel like such an intensive time of change. I too, where I am, I can look right out my window and see the beauty of leaves and watch them fall so quickly. And in my life, I'm sitting at that threshold. In just a couple of weeks, I will have an 18-year-old daughter. And so we are in the throes of that change, which is so excited and feels so exciting and feels so fast. And I can tell how quickly life is going to change. And no doubt we are in such a season of accelerated change, from the pandemic to changes moving out of that, to all the shifting that is going on in our culture, as well as just in our church and our own lives. I have found that I have had running through my head the lyrics of "Great is thy faithfulness." Yesterday morning, someone sent me a beautiful picture of their view in the morning, and there was a rainbow. And it popped right into my head: "Great is thy faithfulness, new mercies every morning." And that first verse of "Great is thy faithfulness," I want to share it. It says, "Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not. Thy compassions, thy fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be." I did pull that out in a little bit of the old language there, but hearing the beauty of the invitation in the midst of accelerated change, the Lord is faithful.
And unchanging. I mean, just that contrast, I think, is, for me, that's what I hear, is that even though we are experiencing this accelerated change, and in so many levels of our lives, we have a God who is unchanging. He is steadfast.
Yes. And that is such a beautiful picture. And even as we're talking, Lillian, people are popping into my mind because they're just of all the change going on for them. And I just can see that and I want to, in a sense, through this, pray that Lamentations 3:22-23 over them, over all of us. And it's this reminder, it's where we get "Great is thy faithfulness," that says, "Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed. His compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." This is a season we could feel consumed by change. In looking at that, in thinking about it at this time where this just keeps happening around us, I received a newsletter from the Thrive Center for Human Development. It's one of the centers out of Fuller Seminary. And the executive director is Reverend Dr. Pamela Epstein King. And she really does research and communicating on what does it mean to thrive, for what does it mean for human beings to thrive, live in their full purpose, live in joy, move deeply towards God and towards others in their life. And she too noted in the newsletter what a profound time of change it is, and offered some things that I thought might be helpful for all of us as we feel the tumultuous season. That's kind of a big word, but even, a little bit of the windiness that we get in the fall. How do we hang on, and what is really meaningful and important to us?
Right. And I just want to hold before you share what Dr. King wrote in the newsletter. You mentioned how in Lamentations, it says, because of God's great love for us, we are not consumed. And that is the truth. Like, that is the fact. that is the good news.
Yes.
But sometimes we do feel like we are being consumed. And I think we use, at least, for myself, I use the language overwhelmed. I just feel so overwhelmed. And recognizing that how I'm feeling overwhelmed is not necessarily the grounding, the foundational truth, which is we are not consumed because of the Lord's great love for us.
Yes. Lillian, the way you said that, I so appreciate that, because isn't it amazing? We can feel in our bodies, like, have you ever been feeling like you're moving so fast or thinking so fast? You can't feel your feet. But the reality is you are standing on the ground. And so this is a deep invitation to us to know actually what is real. And it's real that God is faithful, and it's real that we can be anchored in that and grounded in all of us, our bodies, our emotions, our thoughts. One of the invitations that's given to us to stay grounded is to have a practice that helps us do that. And we've talked about many of those here. Last week, you brought us being silent and being able to step into that loving relationship and presence of God. And that might be, people could feel grounded. They could use a practice like that, a regular prayer or journaling. Maybe it's every morning that you're reading a scripture. Sometimes I'll take the same one. And I got to tell you, Lamentations could be a wonderful one in this season. Mm-hmm. Just anchor that by you, write it on your bathroom mirror, pop up a sticky note somewhere where you see it. What?
And you also mentioned, just in passing, but I think which is also a good practice, is feeling your feet on the ground and just noticing that. Because you're right, often we do kind of go about all of the activities of the day, or sometimes we're not even, our hours are not filled with activities. Sometimes they feel very void. Mm-hmm. And we could get lost in that like big space that we are living in. And so just one of those practices to be grounded is just put your feet on the ground and notice. Like, take your shoes off, wiggle your toes on that floor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, such good advice and counsel for us. So if we stay grounded, there are three things that Dr. King really highlights that are helpful for us to not be caught up and consumed in profound change. So one is that grounding, having a practice that will help you. Another is stay connected, be connected to those who are, I love her term, dearest to you. Mm-hmm. And so being connected, which is one of the aims and hopes of this and Caring Conversations, to connect and even to talk about what is, we always say we're naming the things of the season, but it's in connection where we don't feel alone in walking through these things. What helps you in that staying connected? And I was continuing talking because I said, you can speak so well into this. You moved during the pandemic.
Yes, I moved far away from where you are, where our church is. So feeling physically disconnected has been massive. And I know that many of the people who are listening as well, other people have moved too. And so when you're moving homes, when your house moves, you feel very disconnected. And what's helped me stay connected, well, and also with my personality, I'm not a huge people person. I don't need many people. I just need a select number. And what I loved about your invitation to get connected with the ones who are, or those who are dearest to you, is to recognize, maybe it's one thing, a character trait that you hold dear about that person. And is there a conversation that you can have that just brings about that character trait that you love so much about them?
Mhm.
And you could just hold on to that rather than sometimes I think we struggle to feel connected because we'll have conversations, like hours of conversations, but they feel flat
Mm.
or draining. And then you think, oh, I'm never going to call that person again. But, what is that character trait or even conversation topic that that you hold dear and that you share with your dear ones, and seek that.
Mhm. Oh, that's a good word. That would be fun for to even reflect on for people of realizing that's what it is that is so dear. Yeah. The third one that she brings up is being directed towards your purpose and what brings you joy. And here, I think it really is profound to know that you have a direction and a purpose, and being able to feel that, to know that, to move towards it, no matter what's happening around you. And that, let's say it is your purpose, you might be really wired to help people connect. So you're doing that. You might be really wired where it is so important to you that you see hungry people fed. And so you move towards that. That you have something that reminds you of your deep purpose. Because I promise you, in the Lord's great love, how his compassions never fail, no matter what's happening around us, the Lord is leading us in living that out. It's not taken away from us in these times. You have a deep purpose. It simply is your context that has changed.
Yes. And it brings to mind, I was just listening to a conversation, and she is an author of a book that she's written about aging faithfully.
Mm.
And she says, I'm 77 years old and a half. And that brings me closer to 80. And her comment was that if I am aging, it's all because it's part of God's plan for me.
Mm.
And so I think that you're right. We do have a purpose, whatever stage of life we're in.
Yes.
And how easy it is to forget, no matter how old you are or how young you are,
Right.
that we actually do have a purpose.
Yes. That's a profound thing to remember. So it's being grounded, keep those practices in body, emotions, mind, and being connected and being directed. So, oh, dear friends, in this time of accelerated and constant change, we have a God who never changes. May we lean into that.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for sharing that with us. And to all of you who are joining us, thanks again for joining us for another episode of Caring Conversations. Until next time, take care.